What's up, gang? Welcome back to Matty Mo's Arcade. Sorry it's been a while since I've posted, but I've been super hard at work. I've been working on a personal project, but it's also kind of arcade related. Pretty much arcade related. I've been working on my test rig. Now, this is my original test rig. I built it in, obviously, a DeWalt toolbox, and I used basically the power brick out of a Pac-Man, which I've repurposed this piece of wood again, and I stole a piece of Lazy Susan circle off the bottom of an old Mega Touch that didn't work, and then I use that for my monitors now. But basically I had the power brick for the Pac-Man and just had it in the inside here, and then had a power supply on the side, and then had a hole out the back so that I could run power out of it. And this was so I could, I could work on a monitor, not have to put it back in the cabinet, and have a isolation transformer to run power through so that I didn't hurt or do any damage to the monitor itself. And that was all fine and dandy, and it worked great. Everybody's kind of built something like this, and I saw, other people had monitors in theirs, and of course I wanted a monitor in mine, and so I just started adding stuff to it, and my boss kind of took me to a side and said, I'd appreciate it if maybe you didn't let customers see this. He's like, it's really cool, and it's very helpful, but it kind of looks like something out of Die Hard that maybe a Terry would leave behind for John McClane to come and take care of. And it definitely did look kind of like a BOMB. But I took his advice, took his instruction, and I started building the second version. Different case. But this one I'll show you just kind of how it looked. It had the power coming in from the side, and I kept that. And then here was the hole here that I had the power run from the transformer. But let me go ahead and set up the new version, and I'm going to say it's version 3.2. Give me 1 second. And here is the updated version. So this is still very much a work in progress. Basically, I took the idea that I had for the other one and ran with it and kind of made this like a Swiss Army knife of arcade repair, and kind of tried to cram everything I thought I could possibly ever need, want, or use in here that made sense. And then kind of like the prettying it up and the theme per se was an afterthought. But then as I started like working on the theme and like, oh, this is kind of fun, and I'd get it a little nicer, or I'd have another idea, or maybe I'd try doing this, and it was like, okay, I'll do a video on it next weekend. And then by the time Friday would come around, I had 6 more ideas of things I wanted to do, or ways to improve what I already had going on. So just bear in mind that I'll go ahead and show you guys the theme. Most of the stuff with the theme is kind of just a mock-up or a placeholder for what I'm planning on doing in the future. But I made kind of a mock-up so you guys could see where I was going with it. And then just kind of explain that really fast for those that weren't around in the 80s. And then I'll go through all the functions and all the different things that I can test and do with the box. And then we'll come back and talk about all the different fun things that it can do too. And then what my ideas are for the next couple weeks or month or however many days I get it going on it, because it's actually been quite a bit of fun. I've been stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit and learning new things. But let's go ahead, and as you can see, I only have one latch. It's got a broken spot here. There's like holes drilled all over it. This one was damaged when I started, and I really didn't know where I was going to go with it, and I had all these things I wanted to do, so I just used this one. I got this one off Marketplace for like $15, and it has this crack on it, and it has a little crack in the back, so it's never going to be waterproof. But I don't plan on everything staying in this box, so as soon as I get it all lined up and everything's where I want it to be, I'm going to move it over to a brand new box, and I'm going to try to keep it watertight and go waterproof with it. But alright, so we have a Back to the Future theme, Back to the Future DeLorean. I reached out to DeLorean Motor Company. They're still a company. Somebody bought up everything that was left and let them know that I was doing this kind of theme and from the movie, and basically I was trying to see if if they would sponsor, or maybe if I could get some parts or anything like that. But they did send me some stuff. This is a new old stock hood ornament from '82. I got 2 of those. Over here in the corner, it's kind of hard to see, but there's like tow instructions. That's a sticker there. That's like, I'm sure they've printed those since, and it's not from 1982, but it is what they sell for new DeLoreans. And then they sent this too, which is kind of like like your emissions and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty neat. But yeah, I got an extra one of the hood ornaments too. But I just put some double-sided tape on it and put it on there because I'm, if this ever goes by the wayside or something, I still want to keep that hood ornament. So it's Back to the Future themed, and like I was saying, this all kind of came as an afterthought. I was trying to pretty it up, and I had some sheet metal that was in the back of a game, and I had a smaller monitor than that, and so I took some of the sheet metal and just kind of filled it in and mocked it up like that first, and then I threw this it's like some trim or something around it because my cuts were so bad, and I didn't have tools to do any of this woodworking stuff. But this thing, taking it on and off, and it's real flimsy, it just looked like holy hell. I drilled all through it all over the place and stuff. So I liked the idea, but I didn't like the material I was working with or the tools I was using. So I went with much thicker brushed aluminum so that it's a little bit closer to look-wise of what a DeLorean would be. Now, over here I have just a sticker of the flux capacitor. I actually do have a working flux capacitor. This is the outer casing for it. It's just painted like that for a mock-up. I know these don't go down there like that. But that's the size. And I actually got this from Turkey. I'll show a little picture of it. I got it from Turkey, the country, and it took a long time to get it. It was only like $30 or something like that. And it came assembled and everything with a 3D printed case. And so that's what I'm going to use. And it works. It has 2 different patterns. So that I think will go there. And then I want to have the Christmas tree next to it. And then, so I have my plutonium chamber and the 2 gauges. I never even planned on having those. I just was digging for something else, and I found a, what is it? It's a voltmeter for an old claw machine. And it was really big, so I hacked the back of it off, painted it up, and it actually looked really, really close to the movie version. And then these, I just mocked these up real fast. They just have electrical tape on them. But these are just like some caps from a plastic shelf. And I got this is for future use, but I have a Mr. Fusion. And it opens up, so I want to put some kind of button in there to do something or make some kind of sound effect or something. And then, what else do we have? So, got the gauge cluster over there. This is my, go ahead. So I got the red light comes on and says that we're empty, and then it goes off whenever it's done. Then this is my version for right now. It's just a mock-up. Let me turn this off so we can kind of see the lights. This was my mock-up of the time circuits there. I only have two, but basically these are voltmeters. So that's telling me what my 5 volts is and what my 12 volts is. I'm gonna redo this with 3, and I'm gonna have one that's a current time, one that's current date, and then I'll have my voltages as the top, and I'm gonna do them in the proper colors. And I mocked up a little speedometer, and this is actually a Roku stick or a Roku outlet that I don't have it hooked up, but I have a little remote for it and stuff so that I can watch TV on this. And at one point in time, I was gonna have my own channel on Roku, but it turns out it's pretty expensive. This is the plutonium chamber itself, and then this was the first circuit that I learned messing with it. Is the Knight Rider lights, the little chaser lights. So I bought a Arduino and a Raspberry Pi and all the little doodads and stuff that come in the starter kit, and I was trying to teach myself how to wire these little circuits and stuff like that, and ended up having a blast and like going off on tangents and wiring stuff and learning way more than I really intended to, having a good time. So if you have some spare time, I definitely recommend getting like an Arduino or something and playing with it. But yeah, you can do sounds, you can run LED lights. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. There's so much different things you can do. But that's the basic theme there. I have on the Roku, it says it's from Nova Laboratories, which is short circuit. And then I have a Dr. Emmett Brown Enterprises badge there. But that's the theme part anyway. So let's get into the function. Let me get us set up here. All right, let's get down to what it can actually do. Yeah, it kind of looks neat. It doesn't really look like what I want it to, but it's getting there. But the most important part of this is that I want to be able to turn monitors on and off without having to put them in the game or carry them back to a customer's house. I just want to be able to hook it up to this wherever I'm at, whatever workstation I'm at, and be able to turn them on and off. So I have underneath here is actually a full-size isolation transformer, and this is actually a magnetic parts tray, so I can flip it over and use it for little tiny screws and stuff like that too. So it has a double function. Power comes in through here, runs through a fuse and inline filter, exactly like it would in any normal power brick. This is basically an entire arcade game with no PCB. But it comes through, it hits the isolation transformer, and then it comes out the backside over here. Let's see if I can get it spun around. And I haven't put it on here yet, but and this is the wrong wire. That ain't the right wire. I should have a black and a green coming out. But I have a Molex for this, and then I did this for my other rig. I have a Molex that fits into that one that branches off into 3 different kinds of connector, the normal ones you see. And then I have an extender that runs out. And then I have one that's just a male to female pin. So if it's some really weird one, I'll just put the pins in there and run the pins to pins. And then this down here, can't really see it very well, is just a power supply, which it's not going to stay looking like this. I'm going to put the banana plug receptacles on here, and I think we have 5 volts ground, 5 volts, and then 12 volts in ground. I don't have any -5 from back there, but this is I can power the monitor here with this one, and then I can run power to the game here, 5 volts, 12 volts, whatever the game may need. And then I got a little bumper sticker over here. Back off, man. I'm a scientist. I got all those stickers from Redbubble for like $1 a piece or 50 cents a piece. Not a sponsor, but I couldn't pass up all the cool little 80s stickers. I think I saw it on Facebook or something. Okay, so there we have our power supply going out. We can power whatever we want. We can test or check our voltages as we're going here on the voltmeter. We have the monitor, the game power there, and then here, just underneath the handle here, I have a JAMA connector. Let me get I'll just go handheld for a second. So I got a JAMA edge connector there, and then that runs into the game, and I have a CGA to VGA converter, or whichever way that goes. And that's in the inside.
I'm Walter Day, the father of esports, and you're watching Matty Mo's Arcade.
Look, I found my flux capacitor. No more sticker. Unfortunately, the battery was dead. It was on the whole time. It does have like 2 or 3 different speeds, and it's kind of got a pattern that is like it's doing a time travel thing. Anyway, back to the JAMA edge connector that's here. Here's my train of thought. Like, it's kind of a small little opening, right? And of course, like a 60-in-1 is going to fit in here all nice and cute, but other boards may not. So I'm going to make a JAMA adapter. I have these little fingerboards here, and then I got these dummies here. And so what will we do it? Depending on which way, because I use these to make adapters too, but go ahead and get them from Mike's Arcade if you can. It's a hell of a lot easier, and it looks a lot nicer. Like this is Nintendo to JAMA, I think. And so I have a lot of these too, because we're not always going to be working on JAMA boards, so it's nice to be able to plug one in, and then I can plug it in here, and I can still test it on there. But mostly what I'm going to use this connector for is working on boards. So I'll use stuff like these. I'll use these, but I'm gonna use this to run wire, like plug it in there, and then I'll have wire run off of this about that far or so across the table, and then I can have my PCBs lined up, and I can hit them with a logic probe and start troubleshooting boards just right there, pretty much anywhere, pretty quickly. And which brings me to my next. Oh, before we get that far, I want to show this. This is from riddledtv.com. And this is a JAMA tester or JAMA adapter tester. So you would plug this in here. Ooh, it's really tight. So you plug this in there, and then I would plug this in to my rig. Now it's going to tell me what my 5-volt line is, so I know what voltage is coming to my board. And then these, it's better to look this way, these are all your inputs. Get a good light on it over here. So you have player 1, player 2, you have up, down, left, right, all your different buttons here, your start, coin, tilt, service, test. That way you can go through and you can test all your inputs, and really, if you wanted to, you could probably jam out a couple games on it. So I have that as a way to test boards too, and to test inputs as well, because you can figure out if it's your board's putting out no buttons or no up and down and left and right, or if it's actually the cabinet wiring. And then the next thing is this thing here. Like, all of this is like, I've been kind of planning on doing this for a while, so I just pick things up whenever I see them. And this is a waterproof USB outlet. So there's two regular old USB plugs. But what this does is this right one will go to the right, which is our arcade boards. So I can plug in this project that we had, which is another planned out thing. I took a spare arcade 1-up control panel, and I need to pull it out, but there's a USB that's here, and so now I can take this and I can plug it into the right side, and I can play whatever arcade board I want on there, and I have an extra way of working that out. And I also have like this little spinner that was left over. I figure I'm going to mount that somewhere, and I'm going to give it some extra buttons and stuff too. But this goes with it, but this I won't carry everywhere. This will just kind of be like an at-home test advantage. And the other thing is, if I'm working on a board, let's say, and one of the ROMs is bad, or I think maybe one of the ROMs is bad, I actually have the chip programmer in here, and that's it here. I need to put its LEDs here so that I can see what it's doing. But I use this GQ 4x4 True USB Universal Programmer. I've had a lot of luck with this so far. I really haven't had any bad times with it. So I just basically decased it, and then I'm going to take these LEDs, and then I'm just going to put them up above where they are on the board so that I can see them light up. But I have in here, of course, I have a monitor and I have some controls and stuff, so I got to put a Raspberry Pi in here, right? So, of course, I went ahead and took it out. Actually, this is the other one. I have a little bit different case for the one that's going to go in there. And I'm using a Raspberry Pi 3 because it's a really old one. It's what I happen to have. And then I'm going to use this, which is a external hard drive, and it just happens to look like a little NES cart. I'll have links for all this stuff in the description sometime after the video goes up. It'll take me a little bit. Keep checking back if you're looking. But this plugs in, and this is an external hard drive that you can actually boot from the hard drive too. But it's 1 terabyte, so I want to store as many games as I can on there. Like, I'm not gonna put games that I'll never play on there, and I'm not gonna put crazy, just how some of them games they're knockoff games and stuff like that. I'm not gonna worry about that stuff, but I want to get a legitimate archive, and I might even run 2 of those, or have another one just aside, because I want to have movies and stuff like that on there. Because I have on the Raspberry Pi, I have Kodi. I also have the Roku. I want to put there's a jukebox app that you can put on there as well. So I have like all my music, basically all my media, and then I think right now I'm just under 30,000 games is what I have built up on my laptop, ready to go onto here. Right now I have an image to try. It's a 128 gigabyte image, and it says that it just has the works. So I figured we would check that out. I actually left the rig on a little too long, and the Raspberry Pi got a little hot, and so I'm letting it cool down. So I'm going to pull out another TV for us to check that out on. But I do want to go over kind of like what my plans are in the future for what's going on. So it does have the Raspberry Pi, so that gives us an extra aspect. We'll have the 1 terabyte hard drive, so I'll have pretty much, I think I have an archive of 2,400 arcade games, and there's a few of them that are doubles and stuff, but I want to go through, and they're all in MAME and they work in MAME, but I want the real deal ROMs that I would use working in the field, at least in some form or fashion on this hard drive, so that I can use the I can just pull them right off the Raspberry Pi, burn it all right here on the test rig. It's going to be super, super handy. I can feel that being handy. Now, I will say this. I do not know how I loaded the driver the first time I did it. Like, I did have it working. I didn't burn any ROMs, but I did have the software installed on the desktop. And I don't remember how I did it exactly. I just read it off YouTube somewhere, like it was really easy. And now I'm afraid when I go to try to do it this time, now that I know a little bit more, I know how difficult everything is. So I'm afraid that it's not going to be quite as easy, but hopefully I'll retain that knowledge. But it'll be nice to have, because this thing, the Raspberry Pis they're just really nice. I wasn't a fan of them at all because it was like, oh, they're, just like fake arcade, boxes. And it's not at all what it is. I mean, this thing, it is a computer, and it's just a ton of fun too. It does all, way more than just have, games stored on it. But I've been having fun, like writing the little mini programs for the LEDs, like getting that one to light up and then go off with the sound. And there's been so many things that I've tried and done and then screwed up my whole build for the case because I keep trying to put all these ROMs on there, but I'll screw something up in the coding because I'm trying to learn, and then I got to start all over. So that's why there's been about a month or so where I haven't posted any videos. It's because I'm kind of learning this as I go, and I don't want to do a video and tell people, do this. This is what I do, and then this is how I screw it up. So it's kind of been a learning and a trial and error experience. But I wanted to get you guys kind of caught up to where I am now, because I am having a lot of fun on this, and so when I do something fun with it, I want to just bring you guys along rather than hide it. But I really did want it to be 100% done, and I could just unveil it, and it would be like, oh yeah, it went viral. I got 86 views, But I'll just never get there. Every single day, I think of 2 more things that I want to do. Even today, I thought of something else. So, but I have been really enjoying it a lot and working with the Raspberry Pi. This is my controller. It was made by RII. I got this on Amazon as well. And I think it was like on clearance or something for like $30. But it's basically kind of like a PlayStation controller. But the thing I like about it is if you turn it over, you have your keyboard, you have a mouse, you can switch it up here, and it's wireless. So for a Raspberry Pi, and you have limited space inside this box, this thing was a fantastic buy. I was really, really glad about this. But a lot of my stuff that's in here, like I always keep my old phone, and I play them games where they give you, points, and then you can add them up and get gift cards and stuff like that. So I just do that, and I let it build up, and then I'll be like, oh, I need this or that for this project. And I go on Amazon, it's like, say I wanted to get some of these voltmeters. They're real small, they're like this big, it'd be like $3 for one, or you can get 5 of them in assorted colors for $7. And so I just use that free Amazon money, and I get that. And so now I just have like a plethora of weird parts and extras and stuff like that. It's really fun. So once I get done with this, I want to build another bar top and just make it like super weird with like data from Goonies inventions and stuff all over it, just for fun. I want to mention these. I got these specifically because I always wanted these switches from like Top Gun. That's what they reminded me of. Like aircraft safety switches. What else are we going to say? I have a soundboard that's over here on this side. And it has its own power button. I have the shocks. I got to put the other shock over here on this side still. And I got to put the speaker covers over there. I was buying those parts for that big, huge DeLorean model. And so they're like $60 a month or something for the parts. They quit sending them to me, so I got like 8 kits out of 70 to build this DeLorean. So I'm like, ah, screw it. So I just started pulling the stuff off. I'm going to use it on here and make this thing look more DeLorean-like than the model that I'll never get. I think the thing is going to cost like $2,000 at the end anyway. But it looks fine in here. Like this, I got that, Mr. Fusion. And then, like I was saying, I got some of the tail light stuff. I was thinking about covering up the Knight Rider lights with it. Anyway, but this is just a lot of fun. I have a whole one of those starter kits that comes with all the little doodads and stuff, and it's got some servo motors in it and some stepper motors. So I was thinking here is kind of like where I want my storage space. I'm either going to have like a motor drop it down or tilt it back and maybe just spit the controller out. But I want to do something with the motors there just so that I can learn how to do it and how to use those. But it's been a lot of fun. If you get a chance, you have some spare time. It's fun to just like build these little circuits that do nothing, and then you're like, oh, that was cool. But then when you work on arcade games, you're like, you know what? I need a little circuit that delays the start of this game because even like Tapper, like all the boards need to start exactly at the same time, so you need to delay them. So you can build a delay circuit, and it's just fun. What was the other thing? Oh, there's a motion sensor that I want to stick on the other side, and then when it goes off, I want to have like the Ghostbusters siren alarm go off, because I don't want anybody to bump this, because usually it's going to have wires going to probably an arcade monitor, or it's going to have live power coming to it. So I figured an alarm would be good, and there's like proximity sensors. There's just so much fun stuff, like nerd robot stuff that I didn't even know that I was into or excited about. Like I love arcade games and that kind of stuff, but it was a whole nother level to start learning circuits and putting it in here and like, okay, well I want to flip this switch and make this sound happen, but it's got voltage coming to it, so it runs to that. So how can I do this and do that? And I'm asking my stepdad, who is an engineer and a fabricator, and he's like, "Man, you're above my pay grade, dude." But it's definitely been a lot of fun. Now let's see. There was some other. Okay, so I had to have that too to program the Raspberry Pi. I thought there was something else I was going to show you guys. I don't know if I've shown you guys this. I made these little voltage ninjas, like little voltmeters, and I don't know if this is going to make this out, but he's got like a little rubber O-ring in his butt where the wires come out. And I'm going to put some alligator clips there and then some magnet on his feet so I can stick them around. But they're just like little stress balls. Thought that was kind of cool. But I put them in the ninjas because they kept falling on stuff and shorting stuff out. And that's what I used inside the makeshift time circuits over here. That was the other thing I was going to tell you about. So with the Raspberry Pi, somebody at some point took their DeLorean that they bought and they wanted to make a time machine. So they took a little box that kind of looked like that and made a speedometer out of it, and they ran it through the Raspberry Pi. Now, it used GPS to track their speed, and once they hit 88 miles an hour, it would set off lights and sounds. Well, then they made a flux capacitor. They hooked the two of them together. They made time circuits. They hooked that together. I think there's the handle where you turn on the time circuits, the plutonium chamber and the gauges, the speedometer, and the outside of the car. Oh, and the Christmas tree that's behind the flux capacitor. They all communicate. And when you hit 88 miles per hour, or if you turn the potentiometer up to 88 miles per hour, it has an event, and your time will move up on your time circuits, like everything is like exactly how it happens in the movie. Even though that's, that stuff didn't really work that way in the movie. It was make believe. But some guy figured it out and he like coded all this stuff. It was probably a group of guys. But I'm 100% going to do that to this. So that's why I was like, I got to show you guys where I'm at, because that might take me 6 months or a year. I might actually have a real DeLorean by the time I get to where I have this thing that it'll actually do that. But it's just for fun. It's not anything where I'm expecting you guys to think that this is a car where I'm actually going back in time. And I need to add, this is the other thing. This is the test pattern generator. I got my wiring all set up for it. I'm just not sure where I want to mount it. Originally I was going to have it up here, but it's really kind of ugly. So I kind of want to maybe hide it on the side. But then I got to worry about there's a big hole to get to all this access. So maybe this will be a thing where I have like a little door open or something. But like I said, none of this stuff is 100% set in stone. I think my the pieces that I'm using up there pretty much are. Here I like tried out a bezeled edge just to see what it looked like, because it was all scratched up and I was going to use another piece anyway. I kind of like it, so I might do that all the way around on the outside. But I'm getting long in the tooth. I had a blast doing this. It doesn't really look like a DeLorean yet, but I can see it coming together, and I can see the things that will make it look like one. But yeah, that's where I'm at. It's been a lot of fun. Let me get a little monitor set up, and I want to check out the this 128 gigabyte image. It's loaded. So whatever it's loaded with, we're going to steal and put it in my image, because I'm making my own. I must be too tired or something. I am not having any luck. I got this one to boot off of an SD card, and none of the other ones would boot off of any of the files that I had, even ones that I know that are perfectly fine. So I'm done with this crap for the day. I do want to show this diagram real fast. Hopefully I remember to put it on here. This is the diagram that I got from Bob Roberts' website that I based the wiring of the test rig on. So I wanted to include that. And then if I remember, here's some pictures of the older test rig so you can kind of see how it progressed. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you stuck around this long. Probably not. But if you did, you might be interested in some links. There was no sponsor for the video, but if you buy anything through the links, you don't have to buy the products on the link in the links, but if you use the links and then buy something through that link, I'll still get a little bit of commission. Just a little bit, but every little bit helps. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you later. These two right here are going to be ground and 5 volt. So what do we get here? Did I not turn the game on? I didn't turn the game on. I guess that would help. Hang on.
Here it is. A nice little trade. The person I traded got what they wanted. I got what I wanted. And a pretty good deal on it too. Super hang on.
Get what I want!
That comes later.
Yeah.
Okay. It's on fire.
What happened? Whoa.
Lots of smoke.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching.
When you take care of people, people take care of you in this community.
That's the truth.
So everyone, please remember that. Even if we're competitors, we're not enemies.